Know that you don't need to be depressed or dealing with debilitating anxiety to seek therapy. It could just be to help you through things that continuously pop up for you, cycles that you want to break. You have someone who has dedicated their lives to helping you break down emotional and mental blocks that you don't have the tools to figure out on your own. My shirt barely fits, and I'm gonna wear it like this because where am I gonna put my bump? What am I gonna do, huh? Welcome back to Tiffany TV. The bump is bumping. We are officially 30 weeks. I'm feeling great. I'm happy to be here with another topic that we can dive into. It's been a couple weeks. A lot of adjustments going on in my world. A lot of changes, a lot of like deeper healing. So you know what that means. You know, whenever I go through a period of like unexpected healing, bomb videos come out of it, right? So I have all these ideas now. Let's start with our bevy of the day. My mama edition of tea. This is raspberry leaf tea. As I enter my 3rd trimester of pregnancy, raspberry leaf tea is very helpful for my uterus and softening my cervix to get ready for labor. So there's a lot of me drinking raspberry leaf tea. It's not my favorite, so I add lemon to it. Sometimes I mix it with another tea that's a little more fruity and a little more like vibrant, maybe like a mango ginger, or I have another raspberry that's a little more fruity. So I'll mix it with that, but that's what I am drinking today. It's also fall. I got my sunflowers going. This is the vanilla pumpkin candle from Target. When I say this makes my whole house smell like a cookie, so good. If you can get one, I'm gonna link this below because you need this, okay? But I wanted to start with a topic that I touch on often, and I wanted to make a video that's dedicated to it because I feel like a lot of people are still very skeptical about therapy. And it's crazy to me because I've been in therapy for over 10 years of my life, in and out. And so many people are still stuck on the concept that therapy is only for those who have mental illness, or that therapy is having someone who doesn't even know who you are come in and tell you about yourself and tell you what you need to do. And it's someone that doesn't know you that's trying to take control of your life. It's all these ideas about therapy, and it's also scary to some people, right? Some people just don't want to hear what they don't want to hear. So to give you a little backstory for me, I started therapy at around 23 or 24 years old for all the wrong reasons. Okay, I know that now, but nothing ever happens for no reason. I needed to be there and she got me together, but I went to therapy because of me and my husband's relationship at the time. And we were just in a very weird place. We were just moving back to Philadelphia. There was a lot going on, and I went to therapy to I truly think I just needed somebody on my side. I just felt like I was so right in the relationship, if I'm being totally honest. Like, I didn't go into therapy thinking that I was doing anything wrong. I went in there and I was telling her all about like the things that were going on, and I just kept saying like, and he keeps doing this to me, then he makes me stay. And she was like, I'm gonna stop you right there. He's not making you do anything. And this was the first time that I had ever had someone tell me, I think you're making a choice as an adult to stay in a situation. And you guys know I say that to you all the time. That was one of the most eye-opening things. And we can easily say that therapy was a huge catalyst in the work that I'm doing with you guys here today, because that saying turned something in my brain to be like, okay, well, I have to take responsibility. If I'm going to continue forgiving, that's on me. That was a huge eye-opener for me in my repeating patterns, not only in romantic relationships, but in life in general, in how I was allowing things to happen and just accepting it and being mad behind closed doors and not really setting boundaries and saying what I needed and stating what I was truly feeling. I'm so excited to announce that BetterHelp is the sponsor for this video. It was one of the first platforms that I used to find a therapist. And so it's like a full circle moment for me. BetterHelp is on a mission to make starting therapy easier. They're an online platform that connects therapists and their clients and allows them to effectively communicate and get the most out of therapy. After outgrowing my first therapist, I think I used BetterHelp around 2020. They made it really easy because I had to go on, fill out a questionnaire of all of my requirements and what I was looking for in a therapist. I was able to put in exactly what I was looking for. And within a couple days, I was matched up with a few therapists that I could go through and begin to reach out to. There's also a journal inside the platform for personal reflection, and there are actually group sessions available daily with different topics. Now, one of the best features of BetterHelp is that if you connect with a therapist and it does not feel like the right fit, you can easily switch to another one so you feel like you really have that connection with someone. And it is so important to have a connection with your therapist so you can feel comfortable enough to open up. I highly suggest that if you're having a problem finding a therapist or you're about to start looking for a therapist, that you try BetterHelp and give yourself that opportunity to go down a list of people who you know already fit your requirement and you are just trying to find the right vibe. BetterHelp makes sure that therapists are well qualified and their customer service is always there to help if you have any questions. Now, as I always say, if you are on this journey and you're struggling to apply these topics, you're struggling to apply the changes that you are trying to make in your life, if it feels hard, it feels out of your control, and you feel a little bit lost, and you feel like you're ready to try therapy, you think you'd benefit from a therapy session, I've added the link below. Click the link in the description, or you can go to betterhelp.com/Tiffany and get 10% off of your first month of therapy. My advice to anyone that is thinking about therapy, if you're doing it to fix a relationship, a friendship, even family relationships, your goal should always be working on yourself, working on your reactions, working on your boundaries. You need to set healthy boundaries about what you will and what you will not accept. And I think sometimes we think we have to just accept certain things and we don't. And so my advice again is if you are considering going into therapy, if you are in therapy, your focus should first be you. Strengthening you, learning who you are, learning what you need, learning the things in the past that have made you this way, and working on showing up as the person that you want to be. Most of us just want to show up strong. We want to be able to state what we need, walk away from what we don't, right? And it all sounds easy, and it's not that easy because there are complicated relationships that we've had our whole entire lives. It sounds so easy to be like, I just set my boundaries. I walk away from anything that doesn't serve me. I don't come out of character for people, but when people know your buttons, when people have certain access to you, it's very different. Working on that part of yourself, strengthening that part of yourself, who can speak up, who can set boundaries, who can say, hey, here's how I'm feeling. A lot of us didn't grow up with that opportunity to just say how you're feeling. And if you don't grow up in a household where you can say how you're feeling, it makes it really hard to be in friendships and be in romantic relationships where you feel strong enough to say, here's how I'm feeling. And that's not okay with me. And set those boundaries. It starts at home. And if you did not receive that, and if the source of you going to therapy is family relationships, then this is something you have to learn to work on and strengthen in yourself. Most importantly, and I know this is most important for me, is to gain self-esteem, to know yourself and to truly learn to appreciate yourself so that when you're in these situations, it makes it easier for you to set these boundaries. If you commit to bettering yourself, the relationships meant to be in your life will strengthen and the toxic ones will fall away. That's where your focus needs to be. Therapy has definitely helped me to take responsibility for the ways that I contribute to the issues that are going on in my life. It stopped me from pointing the finger at everybody else and looking at myself and having to do the work on myself. I love that it was a way for me to connect with somebody who wasn't emotionally connected to me and who's going to be honest with me and the ways that I'm standing in my own way. If you're willing to sit down and take the constructive criticism and apply it, your life can truly change for the better. Know that you don't need to be depressed or dealing with debilitating anxiety to seek therapy. It could just be to help you through things that continuously pop up for you, cycles that you want to break. A lot of people go to therapy to break familial cycles that have been in your family for generations, to break the cycle of negative and toxic romantic relationships that maybe you've seen. And that relates back to usually your household, whether it be your family, your guardian, whoever you were around, to break those cycles, to kind of understand what's going on up here. And I'm not saying it's easy, okay? Because it takes courage to be able to say, I don't have a hold of this. I don't know what to do next, and to go get help. I get it. It takes strength. There's nothing weak about that at all. The strongest thing you can do when you are struggling is to reach out for help. You can't always do that with a friend. Maybe a friend is going through the same thing. Maybe y'all have the same mindset or they're somewhere else. You can't always reach out to a family because maybe it's that family member. Maybe it's that friend. Maybe it's your spouse that's causing the feelings or the repeating patterns, right? So sometimes it's hard for us to reach out to the people around us. It takes strength to reach out to someone you consider a stranger, but they're there for a reason and they've been trained to help you break those things down. Just the same way you come and you sit and listen to these videos because of the things I've grown through and the wisdom that I've gained. You have someone who has dedicated their lives to helping you break down emotional and mental blocks that you don't have the tools to figure out on your own. Along with hearing someone like me who talks about my testimonies, and I feel like that type of connection can really help you along. And I do my best to provide steps and to try to really get you to a better space. And I hope that is what I'm doing. I can have conversations with you guys in the comments, but we're not really going back and forth. Having someone that can hear you and whose job it is to sit and to listen to you, to understand you, and to try to understand your patterns, your habits, your family history, your history in relationships. If you've never done it, you can't imagine how helpful it is, not only to find the right therapist, but to have them understand you, have compassion for you, and then give you feedback based on who you are. It is not just, it shouldn't be advice just pulled out of the air. It needs to be catered and tailored to you. I've had all types of therapists. Therapists that I felt like were too much of a yes woman. Therapists that I felt were too harsh. I literally came across someone who reminded me of Ayanla. Very much not on my watch. And I was like, this is just a bit much for me, for my personality. I need someone with a little more compassion. And this was from our first session. It was our consultation. Okay. And she came in hot. Then there was someone who would get on the phone and kind of agree with all that I'm saying. When I knew that I needed a little bit of I needed that balance. Yes, be compassionate, but I need you to tell me what's going on. And I need you to tell me the things that I'm repeating and doing so that I can get better. My therapist now, I've been with her for about 2.5 years and I adore her. She's very compassionate, very supportive, but also holds me accountable. She'll listen to me and let me talk and let me get it all out. And then she'll come back and be like, why do you care about that so much? Let's talk about why you even are thinking about that. Or let's talk about why you allowed that to happen. So with therapy, here's the thing. We can walk away from being addicted to the people in our lives or the situations, or I don't know, it could be drugs, it could be alcohol, it could be anything that you're going to talk about, to heal through, to grow through. Therapy can easily become another addiction. I've been in therapy for 10 years, but not consistently. I've taken weeks off, months off. I've taken a year off last year when I needed to just get myself together and figure out why were things falling apart? Why did everything feel out of alignment? Why did every person in my life kind of feel out of alignment? Why did I not feel happy? I had a good therapy session with her, the crying, the deep talking, and she gave me some feedback about what I needed to do, gave me some homework. And then I took a year off. I took time to apply what she said and to truly work through understanding myself. And it's important for me to say this because I forget who I was listening to. I think it was Debbie Brown. I was listening to her podcast. And she said, if you've been in therapy for 10 years straight, and I mean consistently, why? Because a good therapist should be helping you to understand yourself. And then you should take those lessons and take those homework assignments, and now you got to go live them. You have to go apply them, and that takes time. Maybe you need more sessions. Everybody's going through different things. This is not to shame anybody that needs to stay in therapy, but that needs to stay in therapy a little longer, take some more sessions to work through some things, because it doesn't happen overnight. And sometimes even the homework assignment that you're given, you go back and you're like, this is not doing what it needs to do. I need to go back. I need more. I need to go deeper. Depending on how deep and how many layers and who it all involves, and everybody's therapy journey is going to be different. But what I will say is that you should take time off to apply it. Do not become addicted to therapy as far as taking all your problems to therapy to be fixed. Therapy should be making you stronger. It should be helping you to build resilience, to build self-esteem, to build confidence in the fact that you can make these choices on your own. It should be helping you work through your mental and emotional issues or habits that are not necessarily adding to your life. It should be helping you to work through that. It should be helping you to understand that. And if you have left being addicted to relationships or in unhealthy relationships or bad habits, if you've left being addicted to those things to then become addicted to your therapist, super reliant on your therapist, I should say, that's not a healthy relationship. It should be to a point where you can take time off to live, to apply, and then come back with feedback. And then maybe you take time off because you feel good about where you are. And then as life goes on, we grow, we go through different things, different stages. We have babies, we get married, we start school, a new job, a business, someone passes away, relationships begin, relationships end. We have all these things that happen. And like I have said in previous videos, like in order to truly get through this healing and to continue growing through this healing, you have to see yourself in different phases. And where you feel like I've learned this lesson, well, now you're grieving. Now something really good is happening and this thing is coming back up and you feel anxious about it. Then you go back to your therapist and you guys work through that. And it should be something that is adding to your life, not another thing that you're dependent on or addicted to. And I hope that makes sense. So if you were to ask me if therapy truly works, it works if you work it. You're not going in there to get the answers to all your problems. That's not how it works. And if you are, which is what I was doing in the beginning, I think I was going to get answers. How do I fix him? How do I fix this? She looked at me and was like, how do you fix you? I need you to fix you first. Therapy works if you do the work. If you are leaving your sessions and still being the same person outside of them, this is the reason you may remain in a cycle of going to therapy all the time, of needing to go back to your therapist all the time, of feeling that anxiety and feeling like you need that therapy session, because it requires you to show up. As I heard myself say some stuff out loud, there's power in like saying something, but we know there's power in what we speak. And when you say something out loud that makes you realize that you are not the person that you thought you were, but you may not have ever said these things out loud, and to hear yourself admit some of the things that's going on in your life, saying it out loud, sometimes that's all the therapy you need. And that's why there's talk therapy, to just let you talk it through. They ask you these questions to get to the deeper part. And when you hear yourself say certain things, like when they ask you questions about like, well, tell me about your parents. Tell me about your grandparents. Tell me about the relationships that you witnessed growing up. What did you think about female relationships and friendships? All of a sudden something starts to click and you're like, I see where you're going with this. You may have never put two and two together. You may have never thought of the thing you saw when you were younger being something that heavily influenced the romantic relationships you're in now. Or something you heard about women when you were younger affects the way that you have female relationships now. What you heard growing up about body image, or, women that dress a certain way and talk a certain way, and women that drink, or, you know what I mean? Whatever the thing is that you feel ashamed about or that you are struggling with and trying to get over, a lot of times we don't have the tools right off the bat to put two and two together. A lot of times we have an idea in our minds of what our childhood was. We block things out. We don't want to talk about certain people in a bad light. We feel like if we say anything was like negative in our childhood, that it attacks our parents and that it attacks our grandparents and it attacks our family. We don't want to see where it came from. And so we don't go there. And that leaves us in a cycle of confusion, because if we can't own our story, our experiences, if we can't own the truth of how we experienced it. You can have two people that experience the same thing and just perceived it two different ways, right? You have someone who's more sensitive, that if they got talked to a certain way, that changed the way that they felt about themselves, or it stuck with them and they played it over and over. And you have somebody that lets it bounce off their shoulders. That's two different experiences. So the way that you perceive something is important. Ignoring it, not admitting it for the sake of not wanting to offend someone who's close to you, not wanting to offend a parent, not wanting to offend family, friends, spouse. If this is you, therapy is going to be very helpful, because you won't have a choice but to have those conversations and answer those questions. And so allowing yourself to exhale, to let that all out in a safe space, and to have this person who does not know your friends, who does not know your family, who does not know your spouse, allowing them to tell you the truth. What's even more important is being able to accept those truths, giving yourself time to let that digest. What does that mean? What other things am I drowning out, or am I saying, I felt this way, but that's not how it was. Like, I felt this way, but my childhood was great. It was perfect. It was immaculate. I know that I felt unsafe at times. I know that I felt unheard, but I was just sensitive. I was good. I was fed. So that's what matters. Trust me, I get it. My parents did everything they could to take what they did not have and made sure that me and my siblings had it, and we did. We never wanted for anything. We grew up in a household of laughter and of love, but all the tools weren't available. I want you to keep that in mind, that so many of the things that we are experiencing in romantic relationships, in our current situations, in jobs, in the way we show up, and whether we speak up for ourselves or we don't, the men we choose, the women we choose, the way that we allow people to treat us at our jobs, the way we stand up for ourselves. I'm not an expert on percentages here, but I'm going to go ahead and say about 98% of those things, they solidify in childhood. And for a long time, I walked around being just very grateful, because I'm like, my parents were together growing up. We had a 2-parent household. We, moved out of the projects to Philadelphia. We had a home with a basement and a second floor, and, coming out of an apartment, a 1-bedroom tiny apartment, we were rich in my mind, and we had it all. There were just things that I just didn't allow myself to process, didn't allow myself to admit, because I didn't want to be ungrateful. I didn't want to offend anybody, until I became an adult and realized that not speaking up and not owning those things or looking into those things so I can heal from them is keeping me in toxic situations. I'm attracting toxicity because I'm not healing through these things. So I'm still acting from whatever places. I didn't even know what I was acting from, because I wouldn't acknowledge it. If you're trying to protect other people's feelings and you think that swallowing down your feelings and your experiences is the way to do it, I promise you it's not. But if you're in a space of wanting to get to that next level, if you're in a space of trying to have healthy relationships, romantically, platonically, if you are trying to have better relationships with your kids, that's another thing. Like, I knew the type of parent I wanted to be, but I didn't have the tools to do it. Things I learned growing up would pop up at the drop of a dime. You know why? Because it was embedded in me. I didn't reprogram it with anything, because I wasn't acknowledging it. I was just like, nope, I don't want that. This is who I want to be. And that's not how it works. Okay, you have to be able to talk about, what was that experience? And now let's gain the tools to be a better parent, to be a better spouse, a better friend, a better me. If you keep going in the same circles, baby, you don't have the tools. And that's okay. You don't have it. You're just going to keep going in these circles. And there are people who are literally trained to help you get out of this circle, this cycle that you keep repeating, to help you break those habits, and to help you, more importantly, understand, why do you keep repeating these cycles? Why do you have these habits? Where did it come from? Let people that want to help. We invest in a lot of things on a daily basis. We invest in a lot of TV. We invest in a lot of unhealthy food. We invest in a lot of unhealthy people. We buy things we don't need. We'll spend an easy $50, $100 on things all the time. But then we look at a therapy session and we're like, I'm not paying that much. That's too much. Invest in your mental health. Invest in your emotional health. You deserve it. If you are on the healing path, get yourself a therapist to truly help you go even deeper. Take the messages and the lessons that we're learning here. Bring them to your therapy session. These are the things that are popping up for me. I'm going to help as much as I can. And then when you feel stuck, or you feel like a message has hit and you don't really know how to apply it, let's build a team that's going to help you heal. Let's build a team of people you can turn to when you need a little bit more, of resources you can turn to. It's why I created the cards. It's why I want to work on more self-help and self-actualization tools, journals, and things that will truly allow you to get to that next level, to heal these things and to not keep repeating the same things. As always, I truly pray that this has helped. I pray that this opened your eyes and gave you a little more insight to my therapy journey and to how therapy can help you. I hope that you decide to give BetterHelp a try, because they were extremely helpful in me finding a therapist that I needed with the specific requirements that I needed. They just made it really easy for me. And I know that's what we need at a time like this, where online is chaos and you're not really sure who you're getting. And let's make that process easy. Get yourself on BetterHelp. Again, the link is below and you'll get 10% off your first month. Take advantage of it, try it out, and I pray that you find your person. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe and that you turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. Until then, keep living in love, in light, and in your truth. Mwah.